Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast.
Great to be here.
Today we're doing a deep dive into what might be the single most critical challenge for modern companies. How to truly measure team productivity.
And I mean truly measure it.
Exactly. We've pulled together, a kind of strategic roadmap that moves way beyond just counting hours or tracking who looks busy.
It's such an urgent conversation to have because the stakes are, they're just so high now. You really can't afford to mistake busyness for actual impact anymore.
No, you can't.
We have to be able to quantify the value that's being created against, the input it took to create it. If you're not measuring that correctly, you're flying blind.
And we know organizations are struggling with this. I mean, the hard data backs it up.
Oh, absolutely.
The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported a 0.8% drop in worker productivity in Q1 2025.
Which was the first decline we've seen since 2022.
Right. It's a huge signal that the old ways of measuring are, they're broken. So our mission today is to really extract that playbook, to stop counting presence and start tracking actual progress.
And clear outcomes. That foundational shift is everything. But before we even get into the specific metrics, we have to make sure we're all working from the same definitions.
The same playbook, yeah.
Because if you're talking about productivity, efficiency, and effectiveness, all is the same thing.
Yeah.
Your strategy is already kind of muddled.
Okay, good point. So let's unpack that core vocabulary. These distinctions are, I think, really crucial for anyone in a management role.
We need three distinct terms. So productivity is the simplest one. It's just output over time, how much you produce.
Okay.
Efficiency is more about how well you use your resources. It's about cutting waste, maximizing speed.
Right, doing more with less.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the one that really dictates business success is effectiveness. And that's the big question. Are you even doing the right work?
So are you achieving the intended strategic goals? So you could have a team that is just incredibly productive and efficient. They're cranking out tasks, no waste. But if those tasks aren't aligned with where the company needs to go, you're just failing faster.
You're just failing faster. Effectiveness has to be the North Star. And this is where the measurement challenge really begins.
Okay.
Because the sources we looked at highlight this pretty serious disconnect between how management and employees see effectiveness.
You're talking about that finding from Slack's 2023 State of Work, right?
Right.
Where executives tend to equate high productivity with high visibility and high activity.
Yes, exactly. They need to see the gears turning.
Right.
They look at logged hours or, message volume, and they see that as proof of work. But most employees, they would much rather be evaluated on clear goals and KPIs that were set beforehand.
Well, of course, if you're a knowledge worker, you want to be judged by the quality of your work, not how long you were sitting at your desk.
Right. And the strategic move is to bridge that divide.
Yeah.
You do that by combining the hard quantitative KPIs, the rates, the counts, with what the source calls soft signals.
Soft signals like morale or maybe focus scores.
Measured morale, focused collaboration scores, satisfaction with the work environment, all of those things.
That's so important because without those soft signals, you fall right into the vanity metrics trap.
We've all seen it.
Oh, yeah. Measuring things that are easy to count but don't actually drive value.
Yeah.
You reward a dev team for closing 1,000 tickets.
Sure.
But if half of those were just low-value admin tasks that didn't improve the product at all, you rewarded volume, not value.
Right. And the litmus test for any metric is, it's pretty simple.
Okay.
You should choose a number only if a clear process exists to actually influence it. And if changing that number directly improves the strategic outcome.
Otherwise, it's just noise.
It's worse than noise.
Yeah.
It encourages people to game the system to just look busy.
Okay, so this is where the conversation shifts. We've got the foundations. Now let's talk high-stakes strategy. Let's look at those big organizational metrics executives should be tracking.
The ones that really show how the entire workforce is driving top-line results.
Exactly. Our sources zero in on 3 key organization-wide indicators.
Right, and these 3 are designed to cut through all the functional silos and give you a real picture of total effectiveness. The first one is pretty straightforward. Revenue per employee.
Total revenue divided by headcount.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like a basic accounting calculation. How do you make that a strategic tool?
It becomes strategic when you trend it over time,
Right.
when you segment it.
Okay. Oh, so?
By looking at the marginal revenue generated by new hires, you can quickly see if your recruiting and onboarding is actually producing value creating hires or if it's just adding cost.
So if revenue per employee is flatlining while headcount is going up.
That's your red flag. It's an immediate signal that you need to invest in enablement, maybe automation, or just cutting out administrative drag.
That's a really powerful way to justify internal investment. Okay, so the second key metric is employee utilization.
Right. And this tracks billable or eligible hours, which is pretty standard stuff.
But the source we're looking at makes a really important modification here, doesn't it?
It does. It insists on explicitly including protected focus hours in that calculation.
That's interesting. So not just meetings or client work.
Because if you only track that stuff, deep work becomes invisible. It's not valued. You have to assign value to those uninterrupted blocks of time in your capacity model. Otherwise, people just fill their schedules with low-value meetings to look utilized.
But wait, how do you measure protected focus hours without it feeling, I don't know, invasive? Isn't that a slippery slope toward surveillance?
That's a fair challenge, for sure. But the source is clear this isn't about screen monitoring.
Okay.
It's about defining the time. So a team agrees, say, 20 hours a week are for deep work. The tracking then just verifies if those 20 hours were actually available.
Meaning not interrupted by mandatory meetings.
Exactly. And then you see if the high-quality output was delivered. You measure the protection of the time, not the activity during the time.
That puts the focus back on process and structure. Much healthier. Okay, so what's the third critical metric?
The third one is the total cost of workforce, or TCRW. And this one is a huge bucket.
Huge.
Yeah, TCOW is comprehensive. It bundles salaries, benefits, recruiting, training, HR ops costs, contingent labor, basically the total investment a company makes in its people.
So if TCOW is so big, how do you even get an actionable insight from it? It seems too large to influence directly.
You trend it against revenue, or even better, against specific revenue segments or product lines.
Okay.
So for instance, if you see TCOW is increasing really fast in your admin functions, but the revenue per admin employee is stagnant.
That forces a conversation about automation.
It dictates it. You guide investment by seeing where the cost is generating a multiplier like in sales enablement versus where it's just maintaining the status quo.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And that actually moves us perfectly into tailoring metrics for specific functions, because a generic KPI list is pretty much useless.
Totally useless. Different teams need different ways to show true progress.
So let's talk about sales. What's the strategic insight there beyond just, sales growth rate?
Well, you have to pair that growth rate with average revenue per sales rep and, crucially, the overall pipeline health. You need to see the quality and the predictability of the revenue, not just the raw closing numbers.
Right. And for customer service, the focus shifts completely.
All about issue resolution and customer satisfaction. The sources really prioritize two things here. First, contact resolution percentage.
FCR.
And average resolution time. Because those directly flag systemic problems.
Yeah.
If your FCR is low, it means agents don't have the authority or the knowledge to solve the problem.
Which points to either a training gap or some kind of bureaucratic bottleneck.
And that's frustrating for everyone, the customer and the employee.
Okay, now for the most complex one to measure. Software development. You can't just count lines of code.
Oh, definitely not. Modern DevOps demands speed, but quality is non-negotiable. So the gold standard that's discussed is the Defect Escape Ratio, or DR.
That's bugs found in production divided by total bugs found, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the target is usually 5% or less.
Focusing on DR sounds great for quality, but doesn't aiming too low risk slowing down deployment?
It creates a healthy tension. To get a low DR while keeping high throughput, you have to invest in things like automated testing and robust code review.
So a high DR doesn't mean slow down.
No, it means invest in better tooling and test coverage. It ties quality directly to effectiveness because a buggy product, well, it erodes trust no matter how fast you ship it.
That makes the metric truly actionable. Okay, finally, let's touch on the challenge of measuring remote work.
Yeah, for remote teams, the sources warn against monitoring what they call digital presenteeism.
Like how fast you reply to an email.
Exactly. The focus should be on clear outcomes. Sprint completion rates, deliverables met. You measure the environment alongside the output. So you monitor the virtual meeting load, and you track things like home office satisfaction.
Okay, so let's shift now to applying all this data. Once you have the numbers, you have to turn them into a real competitive edge.
Which means finding those invisible bottlenecks that are strangling output.
And the source highlights something interesting here. The power of internal communication analytics.
Yes, but not for surveillance. It's for process diagnosis. By analyzing message flows in, Slack or Teams, you can see where hidden delays are, slow approvals, places where requests just pile up.
So what are the actionable data points there? What are we looking for?
You look at things like thread length and handoff frequency between departments. If a simple request consistently creates a 50-message thread that takes 3 days,
You've got a process gap.
you've got a knowledge or a process gap. You monitor time to response for high-priority requests. That data tells you exactly which handoff needs to be documented, automated, or maybe just eliminated entirely.
And when you're presenting this data back, simplicity is everything. The dashboards have to be limited.
Just a few core KPIs, clear trend lines, and cohort views. And that concept of segmentation is absolutely non-negotiable.
Why is that so important?
For fairness and for utility, you have to segment the data by role, by work complexity, by priority. I mean, comparing the utilization of a junior writer to a senior executive is meaningless.
Totally different jobs.
Right. Segmentation ensures that your coaching and your targets are realistic, they're useful, and they're seen as fair.
Which brings us right to the ethics of all this, the trust factor. Because if you do this badly, you create a culture of surveillance and fear.
And that will absolutely tank productivity. Measurement has to be framed as a pathway to growth, to recognition, to making things better, not as a tool for punishment.
So the crucial step is co-creating goals with employees.
Yes, you need total transparency about why each number is being tracked and what it's going to be used for. If employees feel this is being imposed on them,
They'll just find a way to game the system.
they'll produce what I call measurement theater. It looks good on paper, but the actual value delivered is low.
That focus on quality over sheer volume is so important for preventing burnout, isn't it?
Especially for your high performers. If you only reward volume, you incentivize getting things done fast, even if it has to be redone later. You need norms that explicitly reward effectiveness and quality.
Okay, let's pivot to some strategic quick wins. For anyone listening who's looking for some immediate, high-impact improvements.
The first one, and it's probably the most impactful, is meeting reduction.
The one we all dream of.
We have to audit our recurring meetings and just cut the shocking 43% that our sources know add no clear decision or owner.
43%, that's nearly half of our scheduled time potentially being wasted. How do you decide which ones to cut?
Use a decision matrix. If a meeting is just for sharing information, it should be an async update, a memo, a short video, whatever. Meetings have to be reserved for real debate or problem solving.
Reclaiming those hours immediately boosts capacity for deep work.
Immediately. The second quick win is automation.
Using modern tools.
Apply AI. Apply automation to the lowest value repetitive tasks. Ticket routing, repeat approvals, routine reports. The goal is to free people up to focus exclusively on high-impact creative work, the stuff that moves the needle.
Third, and this connects right back to utilization, is to actively protect deep work.
Yes, this is a structural fix. You need protected focus blocks on calendars, defined handoff windows for communication. Minimizing context switching is the single biggest accelerator for quality and for throughput.
And finally, number 4 is fostering flexibility.
But strategically, align office days for collaboration. Align remote days for deep work. You make the work environment match the work complexity.
So if a company's ready to do this, what's the low-risk rollout plan?
Start small. Run a really short pilot, maybe 2 to 4 weeks, with just 1 or 2 volunteer teams.
To establish baseline.
To establish baselines without creating a big organizational panic. And the communication plan has to be simple.
What does that look like?
A clear one-page plan. Goals, owners, measurement cadence, success criteria. And crucially, managers have to be equipped to run lightweight conversational reviews based on the data. It's about flagging bottlenecks and offering support, not delivering judgment.
This whole deep dive really shows that productivity measurement, it's not a static tool at all. It's a continuous improvement playbook.
Always. The goal is always linking that daily work to clear business effectiveness, using that balanced mix of hard KPIs like revenue per employee and those essential soft signals.
And if you measure wisely and you do it ethically, you turn raw data into a clear strategic direction. You make every person's work visible. Not in terms of time logged, but in terms of the sustained value they create.
That's the goal.
And that idea of sustained value brings us to our final thought for you. The sources stress that continuous training and clearer processes are just key to reducing rework and increasing quality. So, if your new measurement system reveals a recurring defect or a persistent, costly bottleneck, before you jump to buy new software or mandate a new policy, ask yourself this. Is this actually a tool problem that needs automation? Or is this a training and development opportunity? An opportunity that needs investment to sustain long-term output and engagement. That distinction, well, that's what will dictate whether your next step is a strategic success or just a costly failure.